Thank you guys so very much for joining. This is another episode of Real Talk Houston, and I am Carlotta B. Today we have a very special segment. This is season 4, episode 6. We have a very special episode today. We have Robert Slater joining us today. Robert is a candidate for U.S. Congress for the Houston District 18. He's a community activist. He's the founder of the Global Piecemeal Foundation. He's the recipient of the Presidential Volunteer Service Award. He's chairman of the Culture Commission Coalition, and he is also a businessman, a serial entrepreneur. So again, welcome, 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 and thank you so much for sponsoring the show today.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to go ahead and get into the jam here because I know we have so much to talk about, but unfortunately we have a little bit of limited time on us today. So we're going to go ahead and dive in.
Let's go.
Okay, so you're running for U.S. Congress representative for District 18 in Houston, Texas.
Yes.
And how many other candidates are there? And tell us who they are and what is going on with this election this year.
Well, thank you for having me today.
Very welcome.
So in the race, it's 2 other candidates, the iconic Miss Sheila Jackson-Lee, who's the incumbent.
Okay.
And she's being challenged as well by Miss Amanda Edwards, a former city council woman. So I like to say it's her, and me.
Okay.
But yeah, so this race is a little, without not a lot of excitement at the top of the ticket. This is the IT ticket from a federal level.
Okay.
Miss Jackson-Lee, of course, ran for mayor. Fell short of that and decided to jump back into the congressional race. Miss Edwards was in the mayor's race. Then when Miss Jackson jumped in, she jumped out of that race to jump in this race, not knowing that I'm the only person that chose District 18 first. Let's just say that. And I'm not going anywhere. So let's see what happens.
Sound like some chess moves
it's
going on,
chess.
right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna see how all that shakes out. Okay, very interesting background story on what's happening there. Thanks for sharing that with us. So we're going to get to the question of exactly what inspired you to run for U.S. Congress representative for District 18, and what unique qualities or experience do you think you bring to the table?
Absolutely, thank you. First and foremost, when everyone asks me, what is your experience? I say life. What has the typical experience of a politician got us, right? Everybody that qualified with that quote unquote experience hasn't made your life better. I would challenge that. An experience of life, I was a knucklehead. I was homeless with my mother before, a single mother. She was a victim of the drug epidemic in the 80s, but she was a great mother. Unfortunately, as a knucklehead as a kid, I found myself incarcerated and did time in the penitentiary. Upon getting out with just a culinary degree, I was accountable and I worked hard to make a name for myself. And with that, I created my own doors and my own opportunities, and I became, successful in a sense. So we like to say I was a statistic to a success equals real solutions. So being that inspiration for so many like us is why I'm running. And in District 18, of a district of 800,000 people, it encompasses all of our close to poverty levels, 5th Ward, Acres Homes, 3rd Ward, downtown, all of the hoods in one district area, probably by design, but that's where I'm most relatable at. So true representation by way of representing and relating to you, and being that inspiration to say, hey, I understand and know what it feels like, and that's the type of representation we need in District 18.
Okay, interesting. And you said there's approximately 800 constituents in District 18.
Yes.
Do you know how many of those are percentage of are registered to vote, actually registered to vote? Because in a lot of the districts, there's a lot of constituents there, and there's an alarming number of them that they're not registered to vote at all. Do you know what that number is?
Yes, it's a little over 200,000. Out of 800,000 people, a little over 24% is close to 24% is registered voters. 280,000 African Americans, 260,000 Latino, right there, kind of neck and neck. The average age is 34. But yet, 90% of the people that actually vote are over the age of 60 and 65. Why isn't the younger generation voting? Because we're not relating to them to bring them into the fold, and that's why we keep losing.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing across the board. Most of the people that are coming out are 65 and up.
Yes.
So we
yes.
have to reach that younger generation and get them
Absolutely.
to understand that their voice is critical.
Yes.
They need to stand up and be heard.
They're the
Make your
future.
voice known. They are the future. Exactly. So they need a say in the future
Right.
because it impacts them and their children,
Yes.
actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
That's wonderful. What do you see as the most pressing issues that are facing your district, and what specific policies or initiatives do you propose to address them?
So many. I hate we got a time limit because we could be here all day this week.
Definitely.
But however, the very thing that we just spoke about, for one, bringing more people into the fold and educating them and making them understand their vote matters. This country is $33 billion in debt. That means we're going to have to pay it off eventually. Social Security is planning to run out in the next 10 years. That means that to that 34-year-old, your parents' Social Security is going to run out, so you're going to have to take care of them as well as take care of yourself. Look at your son and your daughter and imagine what their future is going to be like when they get taxed into depression because they have to pay that debt off down the line. So now is the time to get into the fold and vote. So voter registration and education is key. Entrepreneurship is huge for me. Houston has the largest LLC registrations in the entire country, but unfortunately there's a glass ceiling. You have a city full of hustlers now. You have young African-American entrepreneurs and business owners, and they just have that ceiling that can't get through. So funding is not here. You got to have a 900 credit score to guarantee a loan. We need to break that out. We need to bring in funding, incubation, financial literacy that mitigates the risk so you can qualify for those loans, create our own ecosystem and our own Black African-American Shark Tank, if you will. So bringing the funding to really grow and spur the economic growth is key. So entrepreneurship, veteran rights, criminal justice reform, as well as mental health is healthcare, and let's take the stigma off of that. And most importantly to me is women's rights. So
that's great.
Absolutely.
Question about entrepreneurship and hustlers, if you will, quote unquote. One of my other candidates was actually mentioning that when it comes to entrepreneurship, that there's more underground entrepreneurs than when it comes to the Black community than there are white collar or
Absolutely.
blue collar. Do you agree with that, or? I know it's hard to say because
let's be real on real talk. Yes,
it's real talk.
It is, and depending on how far underground you want to speak on, the problem is there's money there, there's talent there, there's innovation there. What are we doing to harness that energy and bring it above ground so it benefits all? It'll bring down crime. It'll bring down recidivism, the revolving door in prison, but it'll inspire others and our kids to want to become owners and entrepreneurs. 1 in 3 minorities have dealt with the criminal justice system. That's 33% of African American men. Put you and your homeboys together, one of y'all going to jail. You're going to jail, or somebody been in jail. We need to break that down and give them another flow of a way to live. So
I totally agree with you on that. I think we need to focus on that. And again, that has a lot to do with getting the word out there to the younger generation so that they know that there's plenty of options out there. Plenty of options out there and opportunities for them to take advantage of.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to take the high road.
Absolutely.
As far as the constituents, how do you plan to engage with them to make sure their voice is heard? I mean, how are you reaching out and getting to your constituents and making sure that they're registered to vote, making sure you're understanding what their concerns are?
Absolutely. We meet them where they're at. We don't bash them and say the young people don't vote. Well, go get them. What happened to that inheritance when me, ma, and grandma used to teach you how to cook and make you snap those old raggedy peas, right? The inheritance is not there no more. So we're in the clubs. We are in the event centers. We're on social media, and we're talking to them in a way that they understand, where they don't feel like they're talked at or feel bad because they're not up on some type of topic. You just gotta have real talk and real conversation. So we've also partnered with Dr. Candace Matthews and that team, Shondo, Blaze, great guy, with the Black Texas Vote Initiative. We've done great work with them this past weekend at Prairie View. down there in Galveston with the Justice for Brittany and that situation. And because the Democratic Party wouldn't step up and create a lot of initiatives to bring in young voters, we created our own voter registration network where we got 5 locations across Houston to sign on board restaurants and clubs, and we put our own registrars out there to bring people into the fold. So we're going to walk the walk.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. So the outreach sounds like it's very broad. You've got all your bases covered.
Yes.
And you're getting out there and you're engaging with those constituents.
Absolutely. And if it doesn't benefit this campaign for this cycle, let me be clear, we're not going anywhere. We're here to stay. The game is going to change. And even next cycle, it may be 10 of me. And we're looking for those candidates that represent this culture movement to really bring about real change.
Sounds great. City needs that. So as we know, Texas is known for having a very diverse population, right? How do you plan to represent and advocate for all of those constituents, all races, including those that have different political views than you?
You know what it's called? Listening.
Okay.
Shutting up. And just listening. And I think it's key. As a representative, we can agree to disagree. I have social conservative views, but I'm not getting in office to put my view on you. I represent a constituency that needs to be heard. I am a chef. If you're a vegan and you're gluten-free, I'm not going to cook one meal. The first thing a chef is going to ask, what are your dietary needs? And I'm going to fix a plate where everyone sits at the table, feels safe, and we all get away from the table full. That's what true leadership is.
That's true. In your campaigning and being out and about, have you run into anyone that was very against you or very against your candidacy or what you're standing for? Have you had any type of challenges or negativity out there, and how did you handle that?
That's all we have. And you know, we're built for it. My experience in life and going through the criminal justice system, I thank God for it so much. It got me ready for this. I don't expect that. We create our own ways, and respectfully, some supporters, they're so used to a certain candidate, an incumbent, and the way of life, they're content. They don't want to change anything. And so then you have this system to where people don't want you to run because you're taking away from their candidate, or you're splitting the vote. And we call this campaign Stand With Slater because we're not sitting down anymore. My mother may not live for another 2 years because of her health issues. I'm not waiting on anybody in that seat to start fighting for my mother today. The fight starts right now. This is about standing up and looking at the different perspectives. Listen. And if what you hear versus me versus the other candidates and your choice is still there, then so be it. But if you go into it not listening to no perspective, you're doing yourself an injustice. Disservice, absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. I understand that. And it's unfortunate that the split is there when it comes to Democrats and Republicans. It's such a huge fight. It's like night and day, blue corner, red corner, north, south, east, west. And it's almost like there's no coming together. Let's come together for the greater good.
It's like white collar gangs, blue, red. It's the same thing. It's so tribal. And
it's so sad that it's that way. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow. What's your stance on key statewide issues such as education funding? And I know you touched on that a little bit before, but education funding, healthcare access, and then infrastructure development in all of those areas. What is your stance on all of that?
Great deal. So that's 3 for 1. Y'all hear that, right? She put me on the time, but she's acting 3 for 1. I'm trying to answer, right? Education. This thing that Abbott and the gang is doing with these charter schools, in my opinion, is not okay. And I want to say why, in my opinion.
Yes.
Okay. I think it does a disservice because it's a part as a young minority boy, and my neighbors, we play basketball, we play football. And if my friend is going to another school that his parents may have got a voucher or can afford to go to, but I'm going here, and then we come back and we don't share those same stories, you're touching us at our home and our growth. we grow up together. We understand each other. So education is not just at a school for a certain amount of time a day. It continues in homework. It continues in the study system that I could call you to have homework with. So to separate that up, we're separating a part of our growing up that I don't think we can never get back. So I just challenge everyone, no matter where you stand, let's bring in a constitutional study, a conversation, and make those decisions, not just put it off on everybody. That's problem number one. In healthcare, every politician says healthcare. We've been talking about healthcare for 30 years.
Right.
I thought that was over with Obama.
Right.
Like, why are we still talking about health? Let me tell you why. Real solutions need to go to the core of the problem. We want to do preventative healthcare. The main thing is healthy eating, healthy food. People will do better, not because if they know better, if they can afford it. Why does my organic lettuce cost more than my pesticide 10 times sprayed lettuce where you paid for chemicals to be on it? It makes no sense. In District 18, in every 1 square mile, there's 3 liquor stores, there's 2 pawn shops, and there's a couple of cash payday loans or whatever.
Right.
But there's only 3 Whole Foods and a farmer's market that service 800,000 people. The access is not there. So we want to bring fresh farmed vegetables, we want to bring education to the kids, bring those programs to get them want to grow their food. We want to bring in outside funding, we want to educate, we want to bring down that cost to eat better. If that $1 gallon of red cancerous juice is so accessible, so should healthy food and carrots and greens and things like that. So let's talk about the preventative aspect of healthcare. And the other topic was
Infrastructure.
Infrastructure.
Whew. Infrastructure development.
Yeah, Houston is always working. Good thing
Always.
It's always building. Unfortunately, it depends on where you're building at. The city always says they don't have any money. But we found $30 million when the Super Bowl came to put lipstick on this pig we call Houston. But if you go down 5th Ward or Sunnyside, your car might not make it out of the potholes.
Exactly.
Let's be real. I remember as a kid when I was in Acres Home or 5th Ward, was in that shelter to the bus stop. That walk was hard for me. I'm stepping over needles, homeless people, those scary starving dogs. I had to think about surviving on the way to the bus stop. In another part of my life where we was better off, it was trees and flowers on the way to the bus stop. It was a dang hummingbird. It actually chased me. I'm scared of hummingbirds to this day. But I was able to have a peace of mind and be okay on my walk to school.
Right.
The environment and the infrastructure of an area affects a kid and makes them feel better and secure and believe in a better tomorrow. So infrastructure is not just the physical roads, it's also the buildings, the aesthetics, the look that'll make our streets feel safe.
Yeah. I like the idea about eating healthier. I think that would have a huge impact on healthcare. And unfortunately, everything that's bad for us it's actually really cheap.
And so good. Why does sugar taste? Why can't nothing taste? Vegan sugars.
I know. And it's almost like they want us to not be able to afford eating healthy.
Yes.
Because to your point, case in point, everything is almost quadruple the price
Yes.
of what's bad for you. Yes. So does that feed into the healthcare industry where they make more money because we're all sick?
It feeds into the lobbying of it. And this is why during election, these candidates, like one of my candidates has over $1 million.
Okay.
A good portion of that was by way of people that donated outside of this city.
Okay.
Why is people investing in a candidate outside the city? Does $1 million come from the constituency? No, that is a problem. So if people close to the poverty line that is giving government aid on these fundings, then the health insurance, no, they get that guaranteed income. So it behooves me to keep you in the need and sick so I can get this guaranteed funding by way of the government it's a cycle. Let's expose it, let's talk real, and let's see what let's talk about the problem. We could send a man to the moon, but we ain't cured cancer yet.
Exactly. Yeah, we need to focus on what's happening here.
Right.
How do you plan to work across party lines? And I know we talked a little bit about that, bringing the red gang and the blue gang together, but how do you plan to work across county lines to achieve your legislative goals and address the needs of Texans?
Educating the constituency. At the end of the day, people in Congress and politicians work for the people. The Republicans are ran amok for the most part because their constituency demands that. On the Democratic side, we kind of take it for granted. We fall in line with the norm and we're content. That has to change. Let me be clear, and this could cost me the election or not, but I'm always keeping it real with you. There are some Republicans that are very good people. There's some Republican policies that make sense. Every Democratic policy and view that's not, we are a country of ideas, not this or that. We need to break across the tribal and get back to the days of the John McCains and the old Kennedys where they talked over a cigar and we walked away with something. The best America is where you not get everything that you want, but everybody get everything that they need. So we have to come together. I should want you to have something out of this deal as a fellow American, regardless of your belief. I shouldn't be happy that I get everything and you don't get nothing. But when we go to war, who's going to pick up that weapon and wave that flag with me? You. So we need to get back as a neighbor and damn, our fellow man, our fellow neighbor, like love each other.
Exactly.
So come to the table.
Why is there so much animosity and hate? Does it stem back for years? I mean, what is going on? Why is there so much hate?
America identity is shifting at a rate that people cannot understand. Please keep in mind that there are people alive today that was alive when women probably couldn't vote, when segregation laws was in place, when America was this cookie cutter idea, and now you have populations of minorities being growing at an alarming rate. I was talking to a Republican friend of mine, and he's Caucasian, he's white. And he said some of the realest things, he said the realest thing I ever known. He said, I'm afraid, why am I, as a white man, the bad man automatically because I'm a white man? And I understood that. And just because he doesn't want a way of life, he's want his children to not believe in LGBT or homosexual, gay rights or whatever the case may be, does not mean you have to bash him as anti. That's his view. The issue is that your view should not affect my way of living, but you respect it to your view. And that's what we have to understand. You can have a view just where it doesn't impose and affect the other, but we're at this tug of war, this pendulum where somebody has to win, but somebody has to lose, versus all of us being able to win and compromise.
Yeah, I agree. How do you feel about the whole immigration problem that's going on right now? There's a lot of talk with what's happening with Trump. Some states want him off the ballot. Some states want him on the ballot. The Supreme Court is saying, he's probably going to be on the ballot, so we can't keep him off. And a lot of that background talk has to do with immigration, what's happening with immigration and the wall. And do you have a stance on that at all? And would you care to elaborate on that, the immigration factor?
To be an example, I would do a disservice if I said no because it's a hard topic. We have to have the hard conversations.
Right.
Immigration is an issue. It's been an issue, but there's an education piece that comes with it. With respect to Trump, he's out of line for interfering and persuading and doing things that the people that elected their officials to go do themselves. He didn't win that election, therefore he's disqualified. He should be for the time being, whatever, because of that. But as far as skipping that, as far as immigration as a whole, these are people. As a chef, I've had kitchens with Central America and Mexican immigrants, and I'll be honest, I was aware, or our policy didn't do E-Verify, and I've became very close. We call it kitchen Spanglish. I've learned Spanish with them. They're people.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
However, this is a country with borders.
Right. And
we should have those borders set in place. And when those individuals come in looking for a better life, which is the American way, we need an institute to make sure that they're coming in and then also not getting stuck at that bottom tier, but they have access to grow up as well. So on one hand, yes, we want them to come in, but we also want them to be set up for success where it doesn't put a burden on other demographics and other things, because you have Americans here right now that is not getting funding and not getting the resources that they need.
That's right.
It's just bringing all the topics into the conversation and having an intellectual conversation, a path forward where everyone benefits. But we must address it without making this person bad we just got to stop all the nonsense.
Right. Yeah, I agree. That's a good answer. Promoting transparency and accountability. Do you have any plans in place to promote transparency and accountability within the government?
Yes.
Because there needs to be.
Yes. You talk about it. I know for us, if we, when we win, we will have monthly town halls. We will have financial disclosures that will be up, and we will have a rating in our district. And I will self-implement a rating, just like at a job, that if I don't do a good job, guess what? I'm not going to run in 2 more years. This is not a throne. This is a job. And if I'm not doing a good job, what do? You get fired. The people should fire you. You shouldn't vote for me because you like me. No, I should be doing the work. And if I'm not doing it, then I need to retire. So transparency is key. Honesty is key. But we need to bring systems in place that take all the white noise and the media and the talk out and stick to the facts. All this conspiracy theory is, too many people has opinion and fact has gotten lost. So we need to bring those things back.
Yeah. So there should be some type of grading system,
Absolutely.
if you will, instead of someone being in office for 20, 30, 40 years and they're just there in office, not passing any laws, any bills, just in office.
And to be honest and real, how does someone go into Congress, probably worth $20,000, come out worth $8 to $10 million? And they make $200,000 a year. They're not saving that money.
Yeah, what's really going on, right?
Yeah.
Transparency.
Yes.
What's happening? What's really going on?
What's really going on?
We want to know.
Yeah.
So, given the challenges that are faced by many Texans, particularly in the rural areas, how do you plan to support economic development and job creation in your District 18?
It's a great job. For one, big companies like Amazon, warehouse, and things like that, certain areas is not attractive to them, but the federal government has access by way of HUD and SBA to make those things, incentivize those companies to come. Then we look at the workforce that fills that in, right? The workforce is important. College is great. Higher learning is excellent. But we need to increase the accessibility of trades, vocational training, harness and the talents that people naturally have, and bring that as a skill set that will attract these institutions. So trade schools, one thing that we have a bill for already, yes, we've already written the bill to push, is our Living the Dream initiative. We believe Martin Luther King said he had a dream. We want this movement to live the dream. And what that means is focusing on that 30, 35 and up to 50 and 60, that's really where your true innovators come from. All of your billionaires, and these people made it in their 50s.
Right.
The guy Kroc who took McDonald's was in his 50s when he grew that. So let's create a campus for them that subsidized office space so they could come in and office out of and feel a self-worth. Let's bring in Goldman Sachs and these different banks and these different institutions to train and educate them, and that mitigates the risk of failure. So now your money spenders, your investors come in and feel more to spend and invest because they've been properly trained and vetted. So we need to bring a place where all these ideas and innovations can be incubated and trained, and then the money will come, and that's how we spark economic growth in the District 18.
Okay, so that sounds good. What are your your counterparts, the other two candidates? What are they promising? What are they? Are they just saying we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that? Vote for me, I got you. You sound very passionate about your candidacy.
Yes.
How do you feel, and what do you think the public, the other constituents, are feeling about the other two candidates?
You talking to me? I was playing. The unfortunate part, Colette, is that the majority of people don't know there's a third person in this campaign. They just think it's her and her. We don't have the visibility. And we don't just get discouraged. That's why we go and meet beautiful people like yourself that bring us on and give us a chance. And hopefully that spreads the word and we get into other networks. Because it is a disservice if we don't be able to roll out what we're talking about. But I tell you this, and I promise this, if we fall short, we're still going to be here, and I'm still going to be holding whoever wins accountable. And our ultimate mission is to push the issues that needs to be talked about. You can't just get out here and say healthcare and education.
Right, using keywords.
Keywords.
And just talking and not being about the action part of it.
The same script, yeah. Like you say, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
We're the only candidate in a race that has written 3 bills ready to push for day one. I can't tell you when the incumbent last pushed the bill in one of the committees. You go there to push bills, not just to vote and have show up on somebody else's idea. That's not how that works.
I agree.
That's not how that works.
When you get into, if you get into office, how do you plan to advance your legislative agenda? You said you have 3 bills already written up that you want to try to present and get passed. What else? What other elements do you have in place that you can use to advance your legislative agenda?
Congress is a mess right now. It's only a difference of 5. Republicans up 5 seats. It's projected to be even shorter by 2 or 3 seats.
Okay.
If we win and that projection coming into play, I guarantee that District 18 will be the most powerful seat in the House, because affiliation of party will be put on the line if they do not listen. We will switch over and go wherever they're going to have to listen to this seat. And the time of just being a junior congressperson and fall in line and work up through the ranks, I don't work for nobody but the constituents of District 18.
Okay.
And if you're not listening, then we're going to make you listen. This is important.
All right.
Yeah, it's important.
So you're going to be a powerhouse for the people of District 18 when you get into office, right?
It is a movement. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Do you have any final words for your constituents and everybody out there that's listening, why you are, in summary, the best man for the job?
Because I'm standing up, and I just ask that you stand with me. Go to standwithslater.com, support. We host virtual town halls. If you set up a Zoom or Google Meet, call me, I'm joining. I'll come to your living room and talk. I'll bring a plate, slab of ribs, I'll cook for you.
Right.
We're showing up. So Stand with Slater across all media handles, and we're here for you. Just stand with us, and thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. I want to thank you so much for your time. I know we could talk because there's a lot of other things that we could talk about that's happening in our city.
It's been great, yeah.
But thank you again. If you want to come back,
absolutely,
we welcome you back, and we can continue this conversation and we can keep talking, and we'd be happy to follow you on your trail to candidacy.
Thank you.
Okay. Now tell everybody those dates for voting. Early voting starts
February 20th. Yes, February 20th, and the primary is March 5th. March 5th. Register to vote. That just ended, but you have another chance coming up. Early voting February 20th. The primaries is March 5th.
All right, that sounds good. And is there a online registration? Is there like an online voting? Their options are to physically go to the polls.
Yes.
Can they mail in their votes?
The mail-in ballot. If you're already registered and set up for that, you should. You could do mail-in voting. But if you have any questions, go to the Harris County Voting Registration Office or Google it, and they have all the information there. If you need any assistance or help, contact my campaign, and we'll send registrars out to you. We'll help you get to the voting, and we will walk you through the process. Standwithslater.com. We're here to help you.
Standwithslater.com, you guys. He said he'll help you get to the polls. He'll answer any questions you have about voting or getting registered. Standwithslater.com. Again, this segment was sponsored by Stand with Slater Campaign 2024, standwithslater.com. Again, you guys, he's running for U.S. Congress Representative for Houston, Texas, District 18. Thank you guys so very much for joining. This has been another episode of Real Talk Houston with Carlotta B. Go follow my YouTube channel, and we're out.